Jacob Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake, Scott, Ben, Anderson. Thanks for making us a part of your Tuesday. What's going on over there, Ben?
Doing well. How are you?
Oh, living the dream. How was the hockey game?
I'm a little hoarse because I was screaming.
You were getting nuts, huh?
I was into it. I have not, I went to a White Sox game last year in Seattle. And that was the last time I've been able to go to a game and not been working. I guess I went to a Bees game last week, but Bees are a little chiller. It was rocking. Delta Center was very energetic. Christian was there too. I actually saw Christian as we were walking in, met his wife.
Well, that's too bad.
But and it was fun. That is going to be a very electric environment, especially during the regular season. And man, if they make these Stanley Cup playoffs, it is going to be extraordinary. But it was really cool. I have been to some Grizzlies games. This is a different animal. This is really, really cool.
I'm curious to the setup. How to work?
So I ended up with 2 pairs of tickets. And
no big deal.
The first one was at the very top. Like, honestly, maybe the worst seat in the house. It was the very last row in the upper bowl. And I was there for most of the first period. And it's clearly obstructed. Christian, you were also in an obstructed seat. You really cannot see an entire goal, and that's where the action is. No one cares what's happening in the neutral zone. Everyone wants to see what's happening either on offense or defense, and you really can feel it. Now,
but the screen helps.
The screen helps not as well as it helps in basketball.
Okay. Well, hockey doesn't translate to TV as well, so that's not a surprise.
So, even to the times, because I tried to do that, I thought, okay, well, when the action is gone, I'm going to watch on the Jumbotron or whatever they call it now, and it does not translate as well. Okay. So that is why they really do have to do the full rebuild. They have to tear out the entire ends of both sides and redo it, and they're going to. It's going to be steep, and you're going to be able to see it. They've talked about even raising the floor a little bit, so they've got some options. And it will be good. And I would still say if that's your only option to go to a game this year, I would still go.
Still a good experience.
You're going to at least see another goal, the other goal of the entire game. And either 2/3 or 1/3 of the game, it will be the Utah hockey goal that they're shooting at. So you will have a good time. I thought the energy up in the upper bowl was terrific. And then, yes, you go to the lower bowl, which is where I ended up with my seats, and they were
right on the glass,
significantly better. Not quite 17th row, but it was really cool. It's a different sport in person. It really translates in person. It's exciting. The players are fun. The fights, which I've not always been a big supporter of hockey fighting, man, just the energy of the crowd gets into it. And
yeah, you like the bloodlust. I
don't. I'm not really. That's not really been my style, and I guess I have honestly.
It wasn't
clutched
your
my
style.
pearls a little bit of like, what do I tell my kids about this? Like, why are these grown men fighting in front of you? But man, it's easy to buy in.
Yeah, I don't understand the hockey fighting. I guess I won't. I've certainly been in the building when they happen, and I understand that, all of a sudden Ben finds himself calling for somebody to be decapitated. Yeah, like that's why his voice is hoarse, because he's yelling at somebody to cave in somebody else's skull. But with that in mind, I find it really fascinating what sports translate into TV and what sports don't. Because I think basketball is a pretty nice mix. It's a good TV sport, but there's a reason like going to Jazz games is so popular, because it is a very good in-person experience.
It is.
Very good. So I think basketball in a way has the best of both worlds. And again, this is just my opinion. My limited hockey experience, way better in person.
Way better.
I mean, like not just kind of better in person, but like you're watching a different sport.
Yep.
And I think it's because in person is super fun, but I think it's because the skill and speed and the puck itself just does not translate into television. You know what I mean? Like you can make Sly Stallone look taller. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it just doesn't work as well on television.
Agreed.
Now, that said, I think football is the opposite. And people will throw attendance figures in my face. But I think people go to football games for different reasons than actually the product on the field. But I think television ruins football in person, but football is amazing on TV.
Because it's the best TV show.
It translates into TV so well.
Yes, it is a perfect TV show. And if you like that aspect and you go to a game, you're going to say, I don't know what's going on.
Right. Right. It's just, I think people like the event aspect of football, and that's really why they go. Not that they don't enjoy the game too, I suppose. And you do get, the sounds and the speed and things like that in person, which does make a difference. But the stopping in football is already ridiculous, and that's just the time in between plays. And you throw commercials and stuff in there, and I don't know how people actually enjoy watching the sport
in
there.
person. Yeah.
I mean, the stupid guy with the hat holding the clock.
The orange thing. Yeah, I'm with you.
That guy's the least popular guy in the stadium.
Because everyone's watching him just like, why? What is he taking so long for?
Like, if I find you in the parking lot, you're in real trouble, pal.
If you've been to an RSL game, if you've not been to a hockey game, you've been to an RSL game, you feel that pressure start to build throughout the game and that momentum start to build, and there's kind of the huge breakthrough when they finally score. You absolutely get that in hockey, but more action similar to basketball.
I would throw soccer into the NBA category, where I think it's pretty good on both.
It is pretty good on both.
I really like the fact that they don't go to commercial.
Yeah, very watchable.
In the TV product. I mean, I love that. But in person, where you can take in the whole field and really feel the build up, I think is really good. But I think soccer, I mean, I'm not a huge soccer guy, but I think soccer is pretty fun to watch on TV. I think it translates pretty well.
I think it does too. But that feeling you get in a stadium that I don't get when I watch it, of just you kind of feel all of the build up inside the stadium and everyone feels it and there's the pressure. You get that in hockey as well. Waiting for that moment for the goal to open up and somebody to be standing right in front of it with the loose puck and you feel it.
Now, I do think, around here people will jump on board and it will be popular on TV and on the SEG Plus and all that sort of thing. But I think the in-person experience will really be the initial value with this club. I'm not surprised you had a good time.
It was very cool. And you know what I really liked about it? 100% different demographic than what I see at Jazz games. Totally different.
Well, that's what they're telling us. They're telling us that the overlap is not great.
You can see it. I don't think they want it to be all.
They don't.
They don't want overlap.
In fact, they don't want overlap.
Yeah, you don't want the same people going to Jazz games and going to NHL games.
Well, worse, you don't want them choosing between the two.
Yeah,
that's the problem. You don't want to pull out of your pocket to put in the other one.
Rob Peter to pay Paul. You don't want to do that. They're not. This is not the same group of people I saw going to Jazz games. And it's fun. It's a different energy. It's a different group of people. But sports fans, just a different type of sports fan that we can cater to that we haven't been able to as much in the state.
Now, let me ask you this. If we measured the beer sales, who's coming in higher per capita?
Here's what I'll say. Less ice cream at the hockey game, more chicken wings.
Okay.
You know what? I had it put to me very well by my fiance. Said a lot more Android users at the hockey games than Apple users.
What does that mean?
I thought that was spot on. I thought that was exactly the right. That was exactly the right analysis.
What does that mean?
Nothing. Literally, you looked around and you saw a lot more Android phones than you saw Apple's.
But what are you implying?
Nothing at all. The same thing I'm implying between ice cream and chicken wings. It's not a criticism. I like both ice cream and chicken wings.
Ice cream and chicken wings, you're saying that the demographic wasn't as many kids and not as family.
No, I see a lot of adults scarfing down huge bins of ice cream at Jazz games.
Jake has an Android, for those wondering why Jake
I
has
do.
an Android.
I have an iPhone.
I want to know how you're insulting me right now.
It's not an insult at all. It wasn't even my observation. It was her observation, but I thought it was a sharp observation.
What does it mean?
I don't know what it means. I just think people who are listening and know the coded language I'm using knows what it means.
Which is what?
I think you're going to have a good time.
That's not what I want to know. I want to know what the insult is, Christian.
It's
what's
not
the
an insult.
I don't think it's an insult. It's more so just an observation.
Yeah.
What does it mean that I have an Android instead of an Apple? What is Ben implying?
I noticed? There were a lot of people that had jerseys already, even though jerseys haven't been released.
I don't want to hear you change the
They've
subject
been
either.
buying them from shipping overseas and stuff. I thought that was really cool to see.
Stop right now. I want to know what Ben is implying. I'm curious.
I'm not implying anything. I'm just saying that was the observation. And I thought it was an accurate one.
So you're insulting the hockey crowd? Are you insulting
There's
me?
not an insult at all. I made friends with the guy in front of me who had a Samsung because he was filming the whole game. And I made buddies with that guy. And we were high-fiving every goal. And we high-fived when Clayton Keller won the game in overtime, 19 seconds in. Put the puck in the back of the net. We had a good time. He had chicken wings. He didn't have ice cream. We had a great time. I don't know what his name was, but we became buddies for the night. And I had a great time doing it. That's the end of the story.
What, you can't sit down and insult me and half our audience and expect me to just be like, okay, Ben, let's move on.
You have a Samsung or an Android inferiority complex. And I don't know what it is.
No, I have no idea.
You had it.
I have
never
no
noticed
idea
you had this.
why it'd be like you saying people who like to wear hats and people who don't. You're like, oh, well, this is more of a hat-wearing crowd. I want to know what you're implying. That's what I want to know.
I'm not implying anything.
You 100% are.
I think Android owners are just more free-spirited, and that really fits into the hockey demographic.
I don't think that's what
Maybe
he's saying.
They support liberty a little bit more.
Ben, let's see, Alex Keary weighing in. Ben says hockey people aren't classy.
It's not at all what I said.
Ben also says, I have Android friends. That's funny.
I know people who use Android.
That was exactly Ben's deflection.
I know people who use Android.
That was exactly. Well, I made friends with an Android guy at the game. We were best buddies by the time it was over. We shared chicken wings. It was great.
I didn't have.
That's exactly what Ben did, Alex. Thank you. I just want to know.
I had a great time. And I think everyone's going to have a really good time.
We could tell you made friends with the enemy.
And the crowd was great. And they were educated, to your point, getting all the jerseys. They were educated about the sport.
If you
certainly
weren't
more than I am.
Watching hockey with that guy, you'd be spitting in his face. But somehow the magic of the sport brought Ben together with the inferior Android people.
Which I think
just settle down. Like, if you're going to insult people, lean into it.
That's what Ryan Smith wants, really, is just building bridges, connecting people that otherwise wouldn't be connected.
It's actually legitimately what he doesn't want. He doesn't want Jazz and hockey to overlap. He doesn't want Apple and Android to be in the same building together. He doesn't want that. I just want to know what that's implied.
He should have different chargers for different
Can I not work
available.
for the Jazz anymore? Can I not do my pre-half and post because I have the gall to have an Android phone?
That's fine.
That's a serious question.
Am I not classy enough now for that job?
But maybe you should do hockey. Pre-half and half and post.
Apparently I'm welcome.
You will. We all will be. Thought the Android users were great.
I imply Apple users need to grow up, kid phone. Golly, you still watch cartoons in the morning? Good heavens.
I literally fell asleep watching cartoons last night. So,
welcome to adulthood. Get a real phone. God.
You know, I was actually surprised at how well I could see the puck. I was worried because my eyes aren't that great and I might need glasses. Yeah,
the upper bowl.
From up high, I could actually still follow the puck pretty well. And I thought that was encouraging because I thought that was a big worry that I had and probably a lot of other people had.
I thought it was great. I honestly would fully endorse it. I get it. It's going to be financially restrictive. It's going to be hard to get tickets. If you get a chance to go. I think you're going to have a good time. Bring whatever phone you want to bring. Don't bring your phone. Whatever you want to do. Wear a jersey.
I didn't even know I couldn't be friends with your fiance anymore. This is all very shaking to me. You understand?
I know that this is a sensitive subject for you.
I mean, Mike Smith thought I was bald because I wear hats all the time. What? I had no idea that was an implication for people who wear hats. I had no idea. That people just assume that I was bald. Now, if I pull out my I don't even know what brand of phone I have, but all of a sudden people are making assumptions about me that I lack some sort of sophistication?
No, maybe it's the opposite. Maybe there's a vanity that comes with iPhone users.
That is not what you're saying.
Yes, it absolutely could be. There could be more vanity at basketball games than there is at hockey games.
Well, and from my experience, a lot of people that own Androids actually spit on iPhones and say that they're too simple and basic.
Okay.
So you're too sophisticated for us.
Maybe that's what it is. You also have an iPhone.
Have you just met me? I only use the phone to make phone calls. Sophisticated. I'm the easiest sell at the phone store, honestly, because the people are like, what do you need it to do? And it's like, I don't know, make a phone call?
You're like, I want a green text bubble in my chat.
Ruin all the group text.
I don't want the group text. I don't want it to be blue. I want it to be green.
See, here's the thing. I don't want to be in the group text. I don't. That just means my phone buzzes. I had no idea I was going to be so insulted in this segment. Actually, I wish you had a terrible time yesterday.
I had a wonderful time.
Mr. 2 pairs of tickets.
I had a wonderful time.
Oh, Ben's talking about how expensive it is to get in the building. Like, oh, I hope you could afford it. Meanwhile, Ben has 2 pair of tickets and a freaking Apple iPhone.
I think if you subscribe to SEG Plus, you get a pair of obstructed view tickets. If you're thinking about being a hockey fan, you don't know if you can afford the hockey tickets. It's worth going with an obstructed view. You're going to have a great time.
Ben's going to judge you.
I didn't do any judging.
Every second.
It was an observation.
But he's going to be so overcome by the product on the ice that he will get over his prejudices and be friends with you. Because he does have friends who have Androids. So rest assured, he might not spit in your face. That's a might.
I'm not buying an Android, but we can still be buddies.
All right. Stay tuned. I guess we'll be productive. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see how the break goes. Top 3 stories of the day at KSLSports.com. Coming up next, stay tuned on Tuesday. Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. It's time for the KSL Sports Zone UFC ticket giveaway. Your chance to win a pair of tickets to UFC 307 at Delta Center October 5th. Visit KSLSports.com/contest right now and click the UFC 307 ticket giveaway and enter the keyword for a chance to win. Today's keyword is knockout.
Knockout.
Knockout. And that is all one word, knockout.
How many caps?
Listen to the KSL Sports Zone every day this week for the best chance to win. New keywords will be revealed daily. All right, time for the top 3 stories of the day. KSLSports.com, brought to you by J. Brooks Jewelers. 2 locations to serve you, one on Winchester Street across from Fashion Place Mall, the other at Traverse Mountain in Lehigh. All right, Christian, where are we starting today?
Number 1, Utah State is heading to the Pac-12.
What a wild day yesterday, Ben. Our show ended with Gloria throwing it out there that she's going to split the exit fees in one-time payment. Gloria Navarez to all the schools that remain. Apparently there was some powwow going on, and was everybody going to remain? And Utah State said, I don't think so.
This is absolutely the right move for Utah State. This is absolutely the right move. And I know that the Pac-12 is not what the Pac-12 once was. I get that. I'm not pretending it is. It still has name value that will always trump the Mountain West Conference. Always. It has a much better brand than the Mountain West Conference does. So I think this is a great move. The fact that it sounds like they're doing it and splitting the cost, that they aren't going to pay the entire $30 million it's going to cost to get out of this deal, and we'll see what it ends up looking like fully. I thought it was a great move by Diana Sabo. And look, this is a much better football product week in and week out than it would have been otherwise had you stayed in the Mountain West Conference. And we can stop pretending that anything in college athletics, unfortunately, matters at the top than college football. It's what pays the bills. It's what you were judged on. It's how you get kids to commit to your school. College football really moves the needle, and you are in a spot now that will move the needle more with college football than it would have been otherwise. So it was a Hail Mary from Diana Sabo, and I think it's going to work.
I don't necessarily disagree, except for one thing, and honestly, this is the thing that's bugging me about all this. I don't care about branding. That's the dumbest. This is not the Pac-12. It's not the old Pac-12. It has nothing to do with it other than they kept the name for financial purposes. I saw some wingnut Utah State fan last night. It was like, we got into the Pac-12 before BYU. And it's like, no, you didn't. No. It doesn't. I don't see how branding will benefit in any way. It's the collection of schools and what that value is going to be. If the decision was for football alone to be in a better football league, it's the correct decision. The short-term financial windfall is actually better for staying, and I think that's why UNLV looks to be staying, although they haven't confirmed that, right? Unless I missed something.
No, their decision is expected to come today, and it was based on originally their agreement to stay with the grant of rights for the Mountain West Conference was dependent on the Mountain West Conference having 8 teams.
Right.
And then Utah State bounces, and they only have 7 teams, and all of a sudden their commitment doesn't mean anything.
No, for what Gloria tried to do yesterday, everybody had to batten down the hatches and stay. You had to make sure everybody was staying. That's what Bob Bowlesby taught us with the Big 12. You have to get everybody left in lockstep if you're going to exist. If the Big 12 had one team, I'd have to remember the math exactly, but if they had one or two teams that bought into the Mouse's game and went to the AAC, we wouldn't be talking about a Big 12. The Pac-12 would actually still exist probably in a more resembled what it used to be.
Yeah.
If that didn't happen. But the Mountain West couldn't get all the schools. Obviously, they couldn't get Utah State on the same page. Utah State makes a decision which they feel is better for their interests. I mean, I agree with you. It is a better football league. And now, really, both leagues are kind of left scrambling. I mean, the Mountain West the Pac-12 has to add one more team, regardless of Gonzaga, what they do. And I would guess they don't want to go scraping the bottom of the barrel. So,
no, they want UNLV. They want UNLV, and that makes sense.
But they're trying to shake UNLV down, right? And now Utah State took a deal that maybe UNLV thinks they could do better. And now if they give UNLV a better deal than they gave Utah State, they're in kind of a weird spot there. And I don't know the inner workings, but...
You know, that happens. Utah joined the Big 12 on a better deal than the teams that joined the year before it, including BYU.
But I don't know how much... I mean, if you're the Pac-12 or... Washington State and Oregon State, you should want Utah State. I don't know how much of a Hail Mary it was. In their circumstance, Utah State should be at the top of the list, if no other reason than its proximity to Salt Lake City.
Sure. You and I both talked that they were going to be right on the cutting edge. They were going to be, I think the obvious schools were going to be the schools that have already joined up. San Diego State, Boise State, et cetera. Those were the more valuable properties in the Mountain West Conference. And then it was going to get to that spot where you're cutting hairs between Utah State and UNLV, and which side of the ledger are they on? Where is Memphis in this? We're talking about AAC teams, and they kind of went through all those teams, and they all said no, and it fell into Utah State's lap, and they said absolutely we're going. And I think it was the right choice.
But the fact that all those schools say no tells you the story about the situation that the Pac-12 is actually in. Again, for those flag-waving folks who are like, they've crossed the line, they're in the Pac-12. It's like, they're kind of in a slightly better football conference than they already are.
I think it is. Than what they already are, it's a slightly better compared to what the alternative is of staying in the now Mountain West Conference, which means you're playing Wyoming, Hawaii, San Jose State, Nevada, New Mexico. That's a terrible conference. I should throw Air Force and UNLV in there as well because they haven't left yet. That's a terrible football conference. That doesn't move the needle for anybody. At least you get some attention with, like we mentioned, Boise State, Washington State, Oregon State. We'll see if San Diego State can be good. We'll see what they do going forward. That is a significantly better football conference than the alternative, but from what they had been playing, and you're right, it's only a minor uptick.
I mean, let us not forget that Washington State and Oregon State in recent history have been two of the worst football programs in the country.
And shunned from P4 expansion.
Because they don't have any value. So, I think it's good for Utah State. I'm with you. Football-wise, competitive-wise, even basketball-wise, probably rather see them on that side of the fence than the other. I find this all aggravating because it's really sad. I mean, Oregon State and Washington State should have just joined the Mountain West. Is what made sense for everybody, but we're in this dog-eat-dog scramble type world that, I don't know. I don't like it.
I'm with you. What I do like is that it is still regional for Utah State. It makes sense geographically.
Well, I told you that's like the only thing that this Pac-12 iteration really has to sell anymore. It's like we are the geographic league.
So we'll see where their direction goes. I am sure there are contingency plans to add this eighth team, whether it's, Texas San Antonio or some of these other options that have been discussed. They will find a team. Texas State, they will find a team to jump in and fill that eighth spot.
I'd be surprised if especially adding Utah State now. I don't know. They need UNLV. They don't need to go all the way to Texas. Have these one-off schools that are just in the middle of nowhere.
It would be ideal to get UNLV. Everyone wants to be in Vegas. This gives you a very firm spot in Las Vegas. And I think that's probably the best bet.
But I don't think they're going to pay their way in. I don't think they can. I mean, we were talking about
for as much money as there is in Vegas, UNLV doesn't have any of it.
Doesn't have any of it. We were talking about this before the show. There's a reason. Did you ever go to Sam Boyd Stadium?
Never.
To say it was a dump would be generous. I mean, did you ever go to Sam Boyd Stadium? I mean, just a dumpy facility to begin with.
Where was it?
That's the other problem. It's in the middle of nowhere.
Okay.
It's on like the entire, what direction would that be? East end of the valley?
So they didn't tear it down to build Allegiant Stadium.
No.
It's not close to the Strip.
Like let's see here. We did a show for a bowl game. I'm trying to remember. That was on the Strip, kind of by the Mandalay Bay, and then I had to drive directly to the Las Vegas Bowl. Half an hour, maybe?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So way out there for a small town. Vegas is small.
It's not that big.
Yeah.
I mean, it was
Okay.
not convenient. It was not a good facility, and they played there forever without any prospect of playing anywhere else because they were so broke. They had to have the Raiders come build them a stadium to get out of Sam Boyd. And, I mean, think back to their coaches. They've had to hold on to these dog coaches for years because they can't afford to fire them.
Yeah.
The only coach they could afford to fire apparently was Dave Rice on the basketball team, and he was probably the best coach they've had in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
But Vegas notoriously has no money. So it wouldn't surprise me if the Pac-12 is like, hey, you got to pay this dough, or the Mountain West, you got to pay your exit fee, and they're like, well,
Can't do it.
We don't have money to pay for food for our athletes. So, hey, Gloria, you're going to give us some money?
I think in the long run, this is the right move for Utah State. I don't know what the finances are going to look like. I don't know how much more money they're going to make than the Mountain West Conference. The Mountain West Conference might die, and Utah State may have killed it with their decision yesterday. I do still think this is the right side of history to be on, even if it's not a permanent landing spot.
All right, I just got this tweet. Bryson says literally no one is surprised that Jake uses an Android phone. What is this? What is this insult that I'm not aware of, Bryson? What are you implying, bro? All right, what's next?
Number 2, Salt Lake City got its first taste of the Utah Hockey Club last night.
This is Clayton Keller trying to go right up the middle to Sergachev, and that was deflected. Keller gets it back. Here's Clayton Keller. Shoots. Scores! An overtime winner for Clayton Keller on night 1 of Utah hockey at Delta Center.
Other than they sat Connor Ingram in the third period, he's the starting goalkeeper. He's going to be the goaltender most of the year. Vejmelka's the backup. Vejmelka, excuse me. Everyone played. Like you just heard, Sergachev and Clayton Keller were playing an overtime game in preseason. That is not something you see a lot in a lot of sports. I thought that was cool. I think they're very serious about being here. I know hockey is a tougher guy sport. The guys go out there. They play a lot. They make sure that they're, appearing in a lot of games. I heard complaints that some players were only playing, 65 games a year, which now seems to be the standard in the NBA. I thought it was really cool. You went to the game yesterday. You got to see even the vets playing, even in an extra period where I even wondered, are they even going to play overtime? Are they just going to go to the shootout, which they're doing kind of a ceremonial shootout in the preseason just to get some extra reps in? No, man, they played the overtime. It only lasted 19 seconds, but it was really cool.
You know what it tells me, Ben, is that the people making decisions over there are smart and have their head in the right place. Have you ever seen that South Park where Stan is so cynical that everything he hears or sees is poop related?
Uh-huh.
Not to go too far down this road, but there is a line in there. They play a movie trailer and Stan sees how bad it's going to be. And at the end of the movie trailer, it says, bleep you'll watch it anyway.
Yeah.
And that, I believe, is the NBA to a certain extent.
Certainly a lot of sports.
Is like, yeah, we're not going to play any of our guys in preseason. Bleep you, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, you're going to watch it anyways.
Like in the NBA, there's that mentality that we're going to have strategic rest and we're not going to play our stars. And, if you get a hangnail, you're going to be out for 3 months because bleep you'll watch it anyway. And it doesn't cost them anything, and they don't sell fewer tickets, and they've just gotten to that level. Now, if you want to, I don't know about hockey as a whole, but at least with the Utah Hockey Club, you cannot have a replacement for a good start. You've got to get off to a good start with the fan base. Ben, the SEG, your Android bias aside,
mm-hmm.
SEG is really excited that you're on the air today talking about what a good experience you had because this is their first impression. And if everything goes, it's like the Clippers' first impression with their new stadium, and it was just garbage. Everything didn't work, and it didn't go well. You can't. They may fix everything tomorrow. You can't get over that first impression. They're going to have to work for maybe years to talk people into coming back to the building, because the rep on the building is going to be, well, it's a lot of fluff and no delivery, and in fact, it's quite inconvenient. You know, the Utah Hockey Club, play your guys. Give him a good product, an overtime win. People go home with a smile on their face, really enjoying it. Talking like Ben, like, oh, yeah, I had some obstructed view a little bit, but you know what? It was still a great time.
Yep.
That's what you need people walking away with. Play your dudes for your home opening NHL preseason game.
Yep.
And, yeah, maybe Clayton Keller would have, I didn't have to play. I didn't need to play. I could have used some rest or whatever. But they're like, no, get out there, play, put on a show, because we need to get off to a good start and have a good first impression. I didn't ask you about game ops. I'm sure it was really good.
Christian, would you have thought that this team just moved to Utah in April? You have no real idea that like all the graphics are there, the colors are right, other than the fact that like the team store doesn't have jerseys for sale right now. I don't think you'd really be able to tell that this isn't an established NHL team.
That's not an accident.
I thought you're right, the graphics were really well put together, and like the cool little instant replay graphic that they do and the little 3D Utah Hockey Club deal, I thought it all looked really, really nice.
I mean, there's a real chance they were doing that stuff last week. Like, so much of this is happening at the last second, I'm sure, but it looked good. It felt like you were at an actual NHL game in an arena designed to host the NHL, not, this is a temporary solution, which it sounds like was what they were dealing with in Arizona.
We should look into it. We should talk to an MBA student or something. I wonder what it would be on the list of worst rollouts in business, where the rollout is just so bad that you can never get over it.
Oh, do you remember the Affordable Care Act?
That actually leaped into my mind that they had all this build up. It's the most controversial issue in the country for years, and then they roll it out day one, and it's just garbage. And you know what? People probably still talk about that to this day. We're still talking about it to this day.
I mean, it was regional, and everyone experienced it here, but the Pac-12 network, just the product was terrible. It was hard to get the streaming to work. You couldn't find the games. You couldn't find the actual football games. That was bad.
The Mountain is actually a way better example.
Yeah.
The Pac-12 network was bad.
Yeah.
But I remember the first game, I think it was a BYU, I think it was BYU Stanford, and it was on CSTV, which was the precursor to the Mountain. It was like this, well, we're going to put our toe in the water and see how it goes because the plans were made and all this stuff. It was the worst broadcast I think I've ever seen. Yeah. If I'm getting the game wrong, I apologize. But I think it was BYU Stanford. It was so bad. Wow. I mean, so bad. Like water condensation on the camera lens for the whole game. I think they had like one camera there. The announcers, I don't think, passed the 8th grade.
Right.
I don't remember how.
You're not going to get that feeling at the NHL games. You're not going to get that feeling for Utah Hockey Club.
It feels legit. Bad rollouts are a curse.
No.
And then you can fix it, and you'll spend years trying to overcome it.
And then the nice thing is I think the team's good. I think the team's pretty good. The team's not going to go out and win 25 games this year. They're going to compete for a playoff spot.
All right, what's next?
Number 3, are the Buffalo Bills the best team in the NFL?
You don't think the Bengals are in this conversation?
Sadly, no.
At 0-3.
That is very shocking.
Yeah, that's a devastating start.
The Bungles go back to being the Bungles.
They are. They just can't shed it. We thought, rookie Joe Burrow takes them to the Super Bowl, and they just have not done anything relevant since.
Dude, the commies took it at him.
Jay Daniels is really good. He's legit. He's a real player.
Well, we'll see. He looks good right now.
Yeah,
I mean, better than I anticipated.
I mean, he looks like the best rookie quarterback.
Good thing I had Terry McLaurin on my bench.
But did you get your 1 point? You needed 1 point to win?
I did get my 1 point. Yeah.
You got 1 point and you won your second consecutive week of fantasy football.
Even though the Jaguars might be the worst team in the league.
There's some dogs out there, but yeah, the Bills look very good.
I mean, you're saying Jaden Daniels has arrived. People have been telling me Trevor Lawrence has arrived for years now, and I don't know if that guy's any good.
I sold all my Buffalo Bills stock. I told you that. They look like the best team in the NFL to the headlines point. I'm not going to blame it on one guy, but Stephon Diggs always had a weird negative feeling, and I wonder if shedding him has helped that offense. And he's in Houston now and, is still productive. He's a very talented player. I just felt like he had a weird, negative demeanor that brought down the team. Always wanted the ball more. It's like, this seems like a good vibes team. That's what the Bills need to be. They need to be a good vibes team. They can't really handle the drama. And they've lost him, and they're playing great. Touchdown for Dalton Kincaid last night also.
Real quick, our friend Ute Chasta Trailer says, no, to say that Sam Boyd Stadium is a dump is insulting to dumps. And then adds, it had a dirt parking lot. Yes, it did. I lost my car in that parking lot for a significant amount of time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Got stolen or?
No, the park kind of surrounds it in a circular fashion.
Okay.
And I was late to the game. As I said, I was coming from a show directly to the game, so I was late to the game. So I kind of parked out in the sea and not in the media lot, and hustled in. And then I came out after postgame and everything, so the lot is more scattered, but still a lot of cars there. And I was like, I have no idea what direction even to go.
Yep.
But it was dirt.
Not great.
Sports Guy adds, the UFC Fertitta family are pumping money into UNLV now. # Team Android, which is hilarious. Yeah, I've heard that. The Fertittas are, but I don't know. The financial...
This is the same Tillman Fertitta who owns the Houston Rockets.
Yeah, but the financial situation of the university isn't great. So...
This is what we talked about yesterday. We got into an argument about it. Does money show up if it's the Pac-12 versus the Mountain West Conference? I do think that is interesting. That's where branding does come into it. People get excited about the term Pac-12, regardless of what the makeup is.
But how does that translate financially? It won't. I mean, Utah State is not making a financial decision to go to the Pac-12.
I don't think
so
either.
They're going without even seeing the media rights deal. So they actually have no idea.
And that's the big question.
So,
is like, what's coming? There has to be some sense of what they think they can bid on. You just hope it's not some random University of Utah professor who's like, it's $1 trillion. I
actually like this. This is not a financial move for Utah State. It's not. It's going to cost them a lot of money in the short term. And it might not make up that much in the long term.
Yeah.
And it might take a long time to make up that dough, honestly. Forgetting about the dough they're leaving on the table by not staying in the Mountain West.
I do like the idea of all of our listeners tweeting in Team Android or Team iPhone. Let us know. Let us know.
Ben doesn't want to hear from you if you're an Android guy.
I don't know. I didn't see that. I didn't see that tweet.
He doesn't want to hear from you.
So
he doesn't. He looks down on you.
Did I block Android users on Twitter?
Hey, sports guy. He looks down on you. I'm glad you're on my team. # Team Android, because we are the more inclusive.
Imagine wearing those pants. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, right. That's the type of personality that has an iPhone. Jeez. All right, stay tuned. More next. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake and Ben, don't miss your chance to win big every week on the KSL Sports Zone on Win Ticket Wednesday. This week, get a pair of tickets. Go see ZZ Top and Leonard Skinnard at Utah First Credit Union Amphitheater on September 26th. Listen to the station all day on Wednesday for your chance to win. Ben, Todd McShay said what we're all thinking.
Okay.
Who does he even work for now? Todd McShay, is he still with?
He's about to start with The Ringer.
Is he?
I think so.
All right. Your guy, Todd McShay. Let's see. He said, Ben, that Taylor Swift is ruining Travis Kelce. He said it out loud. We're all thinking it, but he said it.
Did he give an explanation?
Let's see here. We can read. I'm trying to pick through. Let's see. So I don't understand this. He's talking, and maybe it's a political thing. Maybe it's like the NFL, and maybe I'm going to wind up getting a phone call from the league office. Maybe it's Taylor Swift. I don't know. Every show I watch, every pregame show, halftime show, postgame show, weekday show, every broadcast I watch for the last few weeks is like, are we not allowing to say that this guy's out of shape? That he's been partying all off season? He's been jet-setting around with the most famous person probably in the entire world. That he's drinking, going to the U.S. Open. He's got cocktails in his hand. What I do know is I want you to take a picture from preseason 2022 and then a picture from preseason 2024. They're barely the same human being. And he goes on to say a couple more things. But
if you want to say fame and money is ruining Travis Kelce, I would listen to that. I'm not going to blame Taylor Swift for that. Well, she's good at it. She's famous. She's not out of shape. She's finding a way to do her job as well as she's ever done it before. If Travis Kelce can't handle, what did he get, $100 million for his podcast? Yeah, he's dating a billionaire now. If he can't handle that aspect of it, the fame that comes with it, that might be an issue. I could buy that, but I'm not going to say that's Taylor's fault.
Well, it's all her fault, obviously. And women weaken legs. I mean, that's what old Mick said back in the Rocky film.
Kind of think he might have been wrong. I think this really happens with people. I think people get exposed to famous families or get a certain level of fame and they stop working as hard. That's what money does. Money's way better than working hard. Having a lot of money is way better than going to the gym.
Well, it's turned him into a crappy football player.
I would still bet on him when the playoffs come to make big plays. But you know what? It is amazing when guys get this famous, women get super famous and still put in the work. That's what actually was amazing about Tom Brady. He was the most famous, certainly American athlete at the time, up there with LeBron. Credit LeBron for the same thing. These guys keep working really hard, even though they have all the money in the world, all the fame in the world, doing ads, can be in any room they want in the offseason. They still find a way to bring their excellence. Travis Kelce didn't want to do it.
You know what neither Tom Brady nor LeBron are doing?
Oh, Tom Brady was dating Giselle.
Who's not nearly as famous as Taylor Swift.
But was making more money than he did.
Not nearly as famous as he was. Not the same.
Again, if you want to blame the fame, that's fine. You want to say that he can't handle the fame, the spotlight? Absolutely true. I would listen to that. That's not on Taylor.
Yeah, kind of.
It's on Travis. If you can't handle it, get out of the kitchen, dog. You don't have to date Taylor Swift.
Yeah, but nobody ever signed Tim Tebow because they didn't want the circus. Was that Tim Tebow's fault? Well, yeah.
Sure. That was Tim Tebow's decision-making.
How? All he did was play football.
Well, he brought a lot to it. Yeah, he brought religion into it. He talked about religion a lot, and a lot of people, which was a lot of his fame. A lot of the religious crowd really liked Tim Tebow for his religious aspect. A lot of people. And then he was very upfront with that, which is totally his choice.
He was a football-playing phenom, and that's why he was what he was. He was not unlike the Jimmer. He caught the college world by storm. There's arguments you could make that he was the best as far as production goes, college football quarterback of all time.
Sure.
He was this whirlwind phenom of a guy that brought tons of attention.
Not just because of what he did as a football player.
Oh, I honestly believe that the religion stuff has very little to do with why he was a phenom. That was there. I'm not saying that it wasn't there. I'm saying that that's not the reason that he drew the attention that he did. He drew the attention he did because he was a unique college football player that ran over college football for multiple years. Cam Newton only did it for a year. Tim Tebow was, Jimmer is a really good comparison. I think that probably part of the reason the Jazz never signed Jimmer, and I don't know this, I'm just talking out my rear here, but is that they didn't want the circus around here,
Correct.
right? Is that Jimmer's fault?
No.
Kinda, because it's him.
Well, sure. Okay, yes, then it's Jimmer's popularity.
So, yeah. But it cost him, right? It cost him an opportunity in this hypothetical, of course.
Sure.
Again, I'm not reporting any news here. So it is kind of his fault.
The same way this is Travis's fault.
It is kind of Taylor's fault.
Well, wait, no, this is Travis's fault then. He's choosing to date her. He's bringing this.
The heart wants what it wants, Ben. You should be able to do two things at once.
If he can't... Right, I agree with you. You should be able to do two things at once. If you can't, that's your fault. I don't see how that's Taylor Swift's fault at all. If he's out of shape because he can't date a celebrity and also play football, ditch the girlfriend. That's on you, though. That's not on her.
I know. The best thing Rory McIlroy ever did was break up with Caroline Wozniacki. Totally her fault.
This is Taylor Swift's most famous boyfriend ever. She still performs at the highest level anyone's ever performed at.
No,
she can handle it.
She dated more famous people than...
And Travis Kelce?
Yeah.
Not even close.
Who's never ever get back together written about? That guy's way more famous.
Exactly. You don't even know his name.
Oh, you do too. He's an actor.
Harry Styles.
Well, she did date him.
Jake
who's
Gyllenhaal?
Also more Jake Gyllenhaal. That's how I'm talking about. He's more
Jake
famous.
Gyllenhaal is not more famous than Travis Kelce.
Oh, come on.
I'd say the only
Absolutely.
one that's close is Harry Styles, and even then, right now, Travis Kelce. But overall, it's tough. I don't know because
How did Taylor
so
absolutely
different.
collapse? Was she terrible when she was dating Harry Styles, or was she
I
still
don't
Taylor
think she's
Swift?
ever been terrible.
Yeah, so she can handle it. She
Yeah,
can handle her
Travis
business.
can't.
She
That's
can.
the
Yeah, right.
point.
He can't. That's on Travis. That's not on Taylor.
All right, stay tuned. We'll have more coming up next. Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.